Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Daddy Issues Podcast. I'm your host, Danny D. Nice to see you, man. You made it. You're back. Episode 10 of season 1. Double digits, man. 1-0. What a time to be alive. What a time to be alive, man. And speaking of alive, I'm glad to see you both here. Is there something that I wasn't advised on? Something that I'm not aware about? Is there some type of dance or ball that's going on? Because you know what? You're looking beautiful today. Look at you. You're dripping in diamonds. You got swag all over you. You're glowing. And sir, I've never seen you so dapper. Look at you, man. Look at that $1,000,000 smile. You got it going on and you know it, man. You're dripping in swagoo. And if anybody hasn't told you today, I want to be the first one to tell you, I'm proud of you, man. I'm proud of you guys. You've been taking that one perfect brick to heart. You've been waking up every day, defeating that alarm clock, making that fucking bed. I done told you to make that bed. And you think I ain't been watching you. You don't live in a pig pen. Make that bed when you get out of the bed in the morning. But you've been making your bed, man. You've been getting up. You've been moving around. You've been shuffling around. You've been attacking the day with vigor and ingenuity, finding ways to complete tasks to make it back here to me. I'm proud of you, man. I'm proud of both of you. I'm proud of all you guys. I'm proud of us as a podcast community right now, man. The love and support for the show has been overwhelming. The emails have been great. The interaction's been great. I'm proud of you guys, man. You got these people out here looking for help, looking for advice. And I say it all the time. I'm just a platform. I'm just a guy sitting in a chair with a mic and headphones, allowing you guys to connect with each other and have the hard conversations. And I'm glad that I get to be a part of that, man. What a time to be alive. Speaking of emails, if you want to write into the show, you can reach us at datissuespodcast@gmail.com. Again, that's datissuespodcast@gmail.com. Send me an email, man. You guys have been wearing me out, but I've been going through the emails. I've been looking at them. I've been reading them. I've been touched by them. Great. You guys are doing great. I think we have another great show today. Again, episode 10 of season 1. I think today is a special episode, not only because it's our 10th episode, but I feel like it's a vital show. It's an important show. I know on this podcast, we usually talk about things in general senses, specifically mental health and dealing with everyday issues as fathers and mothers, brothers and sisters. But today, I think we're going to get a little bit more specific. We're going to talk about mental health disorders. Specifically, in this email, we're going to be talking about schizophrenia, a debilitating disability. For you guys that are not privy to schizophrenia, and I'm not an expert on schizophrenia. I don't know anybody personally who has it, who's dealt with that torture, that pain, or that burden. But we're all, adults, and we've came across it at one point or time in our lives where we saw the guy that was sitting on the corner talking to himself, or the guy in the grocery store or the library or wherever you might see when he's in it's like he's in another world, because technically he is in another world. And that's what we're going to get into today. So let me get into the email, okay? This is going to be from Mary. Dear Daddy Issues Podcast. My name is Mary, and I've been moved by the heartfelt discussions on daddy issues. Thank you, Mary. Prompting me to share my own story, one that speaks to the vital importance of mental health awareness. 5 years ago, I lost my son Andre at the age of 24 after a prolonged and valiant battle with schizophrenia. The intricacies of his struggle were often hidden from the world as he navigated a reality shaped by unseen forces. In the end, the weight became too much, and Andre's journey on this earth sadly concluded. I am writing you today not for sorrow, but to share Andre's story and advocate for those critical conversations surrounding mental health. Too often, the struggles faced by those with conditions like schizophrenia remain in the shadows, and it is my hope that by sharing our experiences, You can contribute to breaking down the stigma. Moreover, I want to explore the theme of healing. The aftermath of losing a loved one to mental health battles is a journey in itself. How does a mother heal from profound loss of her son? How can we as a society create a more compassionate and supportive environment for those touched by mental health? If you find any truth in this narrative and believe it aligns with the themes of daddy issues, I would be honored to contribute. Let us shed light on the importance of mental health awareness and the ongoing process of healing that follows the loss of a loved one. Thank you for considering my story and providing a platform to address these critical issues, Mary. Man, it's touching, man. Damn, that's deep. That's a deep email, man. Mary, before we get into it, I wanna first personally say thank you. Thank you for sending that email. Thank you for having the courage to be able to put those words not only on paper and send them out to the universe, but to have a personal stake in that email. It's not just you asking about a topic. It's not just you saying, "Hey, I wanna shed light on the mental health disorders," but you're saying you have a personal stake in the matter. Your son, unfortunately, passed away. Ended his life, which I'm sorry for your loss, Mary, due to the battle with this disability. And growing up, my mother was a mental health worker for 16 years, right? And I would come to her job all the time, and I would see her and we'd have lunch from time to time. And she worked in a facility, and at that time, those facilities weren't as polished as they are now. There's a lot of different agencies and avenues and things like that for people with mental health disorders to be able to get the help that they need. But at the time, it blew my mind, man. It was like walking into a fun house at a circus. And I'm not even saying that in a disrespectful way. It was just something that I wasn't mentally prepared for. I couldn't understand it. I couldn't understand all these different disorders, all these different adults going through all these different problems. My mind couldn't comprehend it. And specifically, schizophrenia is literally living in a different world. Can you imagine that, right? Living in two different worlds, trying to coexist with normal people, seeing things that aren't there, hearing voices that aren't there. Where do you turn to? Who do you turn to? Who do you trust? That's a big thing. That's one of the biggest things. Who can you trust in a situation like that when you don't have a grounded sense of reality? When you don't know if the things that you're seeing or hearing are real. Who do you trust? Who do you build that relationship with? Who do you listen to? Who guides you? Which brings us back to Mary, and I think that's one of the hardest things that a person can be in. And that's with anything. Being a second chair for a disability or an addiction or a disease, that's rough. I will never say that it's harder than the first chair, the person who's actually dealing with a disorder or disease or addiction or disability or whatever, because they're going through that in real time. They're living like that. But to be that second chair, to be that audience to that is rough. Not only to mention, like, she's the mother. That's her son. And for those who have children, which I have children, and a lot of you who listen to my podcast, I assume have kids. Some who's already left the nest, some young. So you understand that love, the innate love for a child. You can make plans, you can say and do whatever you want to, but when a child is born and you hold that child and you look into that baby's eyes for the first time, it's something spiritual, man. It's something spiritual. It's a life-changing event. Your soul becomes attached to that person. The love that you have for that person is immediately unconditional. Think about that. In life, we do have love for people. We move through life, getting into relationships, building relationships, finding love, investing in love, investments. But the love for a child, if you're a good parent and you want it, because there are people out there who don't need to be parents. They're not the best parents out there. But that immediacy, that unconditional love right off the bat that you have for a child when you hold that child is something different, and it only grows, especially if it's your first child. Because when you have a child, you're learning together. Literally, you're learning together. Your job is twice as hard because you have to be an adult, but at the same time, you have to be a kid. You have to try to understand, why this person is doing the things they're doing, saying the things they're doing, and make judgments based on those and make the corrective actions. You have to wear all those hats we talk about all the time. Being the disciplinarian, being the father, the mother, the cook, the janitor. So in Mary's case, having a son, Andre, that she loves and, cherishes unconditionally, especially when it comes to mothers, because mothers are very nurturing and loving, which only makes sense because they carried this child for 9 months, spoke to this child, literally was connected to this child. So their bond is always stronger. To watch this person that you love unconditionally, this person that you would die for in a sense, this person that you're raising, you're taking care of, you're responsible for. To watch this person suffer through a debilitating disability, to not know what world they're going out into that day. Imagine that, sitting there as a mother and watching your son, and he's 24 at this time, so he's trying to coexist with normal people in society, people who are not understanding, people who have a lot of apathy for life, a lot of people who don't care about things, who don't take time to understand and take time to be more cautious of the things that we say and put on people. To watch your son walk out into that and not knowing whether he's in reality today or he's in another world, it's got to be nerve-wracking. It's got to be devastating. And I can't speak for Andre and Mary. I can't speak for him because, like I said, I've only been a part of this world, like, third person. I've seen it, but I've never experienced it, and I've never been a second chair to it. But I can only imagine the struggle that it's been for you, and in the regret and pain, that you feel. I'm assuming that you feel like you let Andre down, you let him go to the wayside, or you couldn't save him, and that's the first thing that you have to realize is wrong. If you're thinking that way, you have to understand that you're a mother. You did everything that you could do. It's a disability. It's a terrible thing. A terrible thing. And you were second chair to that. And you were probably learning just like he was learning. You were trying to deal with it. It's almost like in a way that you have schizophrenia as well. You have to put yourself in his position. You have to be able to do what a lot of people don't want to do. They don't want to be understanding. They don't want to be compassionate. They don't want to be caring. They're cruel. It's human nature. Not saying everybody's like, there's a lot of beautiful, loving, caring people out there. And I'm glad that I have a good support system like that in my life. But a lot of people aren't. A lot of people, they're selfish. They're not selfless. And we spoke about this in previous podcasts. When a person is in an uncomfortable situation, the first thing that your mind does, if you don't have those file folders to fall back on, that training, that exposure to those situations, your mind's going to try to construct something to make you more comfortable. And in that sense, it could be, making fun of that person, laughing at that person, physically harming that person, disrespecting that person, trying to make that person that's scaring you, because that's what it is, fear of something new, so small in your mind that you're not scared anymore. And I know in this show we talk about a lot of things in general senses, in general terms. We don't really get into the specifics of things, the specifics of different disorders and disabilities and diseases and things like that. Because I try to go by the emails, but there's so many things that we don't recognize. We don't take time to appreciate in ourselves. And I kind of hate saying that. That's always been, it always bothered me. You know, you hear a lot of people say that. Even today, growing up, I used to hear that a lot. Like, you should be happy that you're not him, or you should be happy that you're not that person going through that. I've always been in the sense like I don't want to find solace or peace in the fact that I'm not the person going through the bad situation, because that person is going through that bad situation. And I want to find peace in the fact that I could have been him. I could have been that person, instead of doing the right thing, trying to help and reach out to that person, using whatever resources I have at my disposal to help that person. Knowing, and I've been guilty of that. Everyone's done that. You know, I don't have time, or I don't have the resources, or I don't want to do that. So we walk past it. I say it all the time, man. We got to be more conscious of the things we do and we say, the things that we imprint on people, those interactions that we have. Those people didn't choose that disorder or that disability. Just think about veterans, right? Think about a guy loving something so much that he's willing to go die for it. Believing in something so much that you're willing to defend it with your life. Then to follow through on those actions, not just speak about it, to follow through on those actions. Serve your country. Fight for your country. Some people die for their country. Sometimes commit unspeakable acts, things that they never can come back from mentally. Who knows what keeps those guys going over there? But to come back, you're already coming back to a different world. And then you find the world that you come back to, the one that you defended, the one that you bled for, the one that you loved, doesn't love you back. A lot of veterans develop PTSD from that, and a lot of them become lost at the end of the day. And yes, there's agencies and avenues and places that people can go and try to get help. But I think one thing that we forget about is, we think if we just lay good groundwork, if we just lay or set up a nice agency or set up a nice facility, or, you know, have resources, that's enough. That's good enough. It's not. It's not. Yes, you're building good groundwork, but what's the point of having good groundwork if you don't have the people to bring those people to that groundwork, to show them how to navigate that maze? Someone who actually cares and understands and appreciates what they're going through. But again, we use those uncomfortable situations to make ourselves feel better, to be more grateful, which I think is it's a terrible thing to do something like that to somebody. And unfortunately, Andre didn't get the help that he needed. Right? I'm not saying that there weren't people trying to help him, because just from his mother's email, seems like she's the type of woman that's going to go through every fence, every gate, every door possible to try to get this person the help that they need. And unfortunately, you know, his disability was too much. And I couldn't imagine dealing with something like that. And for Mary, it's double duty now, right? She raised this young man for 24 years, watched this man fight unspeakable battles, mentally, physically. Then you watch, your son pass away. So you're dealing with that grief now. Not only the grief of losing a loved one, a son, someone that you have investment in, someone that you love unconditionally, but now you're dealing with it. How do I move on from there? How do I get past this? How do I get through on the other side and still be someone I love, someone I want to be? And in situations like this, I think too many people want the painness to be gone which makes sense that you want the painness to be gone. You don't want to deal with it anymore. You don't want to be reminded of it. You want it to just disappear. But that's not how it works. That's not how growth works. When something traumatic or problematic or something life altering or changing happens to you, it imprints itself on you. The thing that you have to do when something like that happens to you, you have to be able to build almost a second version of yourself. You have to be able to build around that, use it as a platform for growth. Because you're going to be reminded of that. You're going to think about that for the rest of your life. And I'm not just talking about Mary's situation. I'm talking about any situation that's traumatic in general. You're going to always remember that. And then that's when we come to that crossroad. Are we going to crumble? Are we going to throw in the towel and just say, fuck it? Give into our inner demons, give into our addictions, our diseases, develop bad habits, depression, suicide? Or are we going to use that as a platform like Mary's using to be able to bring awareness to people who don't understand? Because I believe that people like Mary who experience things like this sees the need for understanding, because she's the second chair. She's the one that has to deal with Andre's hurt. She has to deal with Andre's disability one-on-one. She's the one that has to watch her son live in a second world, watch people be cruel and mean and uncaring, unkind. And I believe, I still believe it today, I believe that this groundwork that we put, these agencies, these places, these beautiful places, if you don't have the people with the right mentality, the right heart, the right spirit, it's just a brick and mortar building. Seriously. We have to be outside of ourselves. We have to learn to be better than ourselves. We do. Because there's people every day fighting demons and battles and unseen things that we don't see every single day. You never know what somebody is dealing with behind closed doors or what they go home to. So Mary, how do we move past this? As one of your questions in the email, how do you navigate through this? And I believe that the only way to truly navigate this is, one, break it down, right? Your son had a disability that he had no control over. You have to accept that. You have to understand that you didn't give that to him. You didn't, cause him to have schizophrenia. It's just an anomaly that happens in some people, almost like a flip of a coin. You never know. You have to be at peace, secondly, with the fact that you did everything you could do as a mother. You did everything you could do as a mother who loved their child unconditionally. You have to be at peace with that. You have to sit there and understand that it's okay. It's okay. I say it all the time. If you have to cry through it, if you have to scream through it, if you have to break things, if you have to fucking, go somewhere and blow a hole in the back of a pillow because you're screaming, and so you have to do that. Whatever your body or your mind or your spirit is pipelining those emotions through, let it happen. Let it take its course. Don't let it be toxic and destructive for you. I don't want you to do that, where you develop bad habits, or you develop your own issues. But you have to allow yourself to grieve. So many people don't want to grieve, and it's understandable, because it's a tough phase to grieve. It's a tough position to be in, to grieve. Because we speak about those Rolodexes all the time. You have those anytime you're in a situation like this, when you lose a loved one. And in Mary's case, it's even closer because it's her son. You have those regrets, man. You have all those things that you think you should have did, or you didn't do well enough. And it makes sense that that's in the forefront of your mind, because that's what grief is. You're going through that at that moment, but we forget. We always forget that second Rolodex of all the good memories and things that we did. all the achievements we made, all the obstacles we overcame, all the happy moments, the beautiful times, the cherished times that we had. We forget those. So again, Mary, you have to understand that you're not responsible for his disability. And you have to understand that you did everything you could to help lead him down a successful life path, to help alleviate the pain that he was going through in life. And you have to be at peace with that. You have to learn how to not move past it, because there's no moving past it. It's imprinted itself. When you lost a son, that's never going to go away. You're never going to wake up one morning and be like, man, I don't remember what my son looks like. I don't remember this traumatic experience. You're going to live with that every day of your life. But what you have to understand, that there's ways to rebuild. And you're doing a good job of it, Miriam. Just using you in this example, but you're using this as a platform to get the word out there, because there's somebody somewhere with a family member who's probably suffering from schizophrenia. Earlier in the show, I brought up walking into my mother's facility, who was a social worker for years, and it was scary. It was scary. I didn't have those file folders. I was a kid. I didn't know how to address what I was seeing. That's how you move past it, Mary. You move past it by not trying to avoid it, but building on top of it, using it as groundwork, making a conscious decision and an effort, like you've been doing, to help other people by using Andre's story, to reach other people, to bring awareness to a situation like this, to bring to light what a lot of people go through every single day, but never get the recognition or never get the help that they need, because we're too scared. We're too much of cowards. We're too uncaring, we're unkind. We don't have enough time. We're too preoccupied. It's not our responsibility. We have to be able, as a society, to embrace everybody and everything. And I know that shit sounds sappy, and I know it sounds cliche, but we have to, man. We have to. We have to. I appreciate you, Mary. I appreciate you, writing this email. I can't even imagine the pain that you're dealing with. I can't imagine it. I can't even begin to comprehend. And like I said in the beginning of the show, I understand you're not writing an email to invoke emotions of sorrow and sympathy from people. You've already came to the understanding that what's happened, and you don't want it to happen to somebody else, which unfortunately it will. But you're doing your part. You're healing. You're reaching out. You're looking for solutions. You're finding ways. You're reaching back. You're trying to help someone else. We have to be more self-aware of people with disabilities, and not just schizophrenia or PTSD. I'm talking about just in general, people who are suffering in this world. People who are going through profound things that we can't even begin to imagine. And we have to stop looking at people's despair to make us feel better about ourselves. It could be worse. You can be him. Man, you better be glad you're not going through his situation. Why do we need to build on top of something like that? What kind of groundwork is that? And everybody knows a person like that. We've all become selfish at times like that. And I think emails and stories like this, like Mary's, make us realize who we are as people. We have to do some internal digging. We have to do some self-reflection. We have to look in the mirror. We have to decide who the fuck we want to be. Are we going to fake it till we make it? Are we going to just go out in the world and wear this mask and pretend? Or are we going to really work towards being a better person? Are we going to work towards helping other people? Are we going to work towards really creating this better dynamic for everybody, not just for us? And I know it seems like we don't have time. But that's the point. That's the point. So that's episode 10, guys. That's episode 10 of season 1. Mary, again, I want to thank you for writing your email, and I don't know, it got me thinking a lot. Hopefully it got the listeners out there, you guys, you ragtag bunch of whatever, got you guys thinking, got you guys contemplating on things in your own life that you need to change. Mary, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, Mary. You went through a traumatic experience. Life knocked you down. Life just gave you its best shot, and you were laying on the ground. And you know what? You got up. You got up. And you looked it in the eyes and you said, I'm not going nowhere. I'm 10 toes down, and I'm ready for whatever comes next. That's character. That's character. That's strength. You're strong, you're brave, and you're beautiful. And I hope you continue the good work that you've been doing. I hope you continue to let people know about your son's story. I hope you continue to try to shed light on different disabilities like or mental disorders like schizophrenia and PTSD and, you know, all types of things that people are having personal battles with. That's your calling. I believe it. I believe that's what you are here for at this point. Selfless. It doesn't have to be overnight. We don't have to be godlike. We just have to show a little compassion, a little courtesy, a little care. We have to be better. We have to be more understanding. Guys, make sure you keep on sending those emails in. Make sure that you keep responding to the posts and interacting with the question of the day. Man, send them some information for Mary. You know, if you're dealing with the same things, you know, put it out there. You know, leave a comment, leave an email. If you're going through something like this or another mental disorder that we didn't speak about today, another personal battle that you're personally going through, or you have a family member that's going through that you need to get off your chest, or you want to bring awareness to, right into the show, dadissuespodcast@gmail.com. We'll get into it. Word of the day is kind. One perfect brick, guys. One perfect brick. Let that be a one perfect brick for a couple days. I'm going to be kind today. I'm going to be loving today. I'm going to be understanding today. I'm going to be selfless today. And lay that brick, and lay that brick, and lay that brick, and lay that brick. Keep laying it. I believe in you guys. I love you guys. See you in the next podcast.